Hello Libra, this is going to be your monthly reading for the month of July. I'm a little bit late just because I moved, obviously. I'm back in my old place that I was a few months ago before my show and all of the things happened and the pandemic and everything. Anyway, as you know, I am a double Libra and I have 2 planets in my first house, and I have another one in my 12th. It's like there's a lot. I have a lot of Libra energy. Okay. Yes. Let's just go ahead and get started. There's no point in like going on and on and on about whatever. How have you been feeling? So the retrograde. So many planets retrograde, right? Saturn. We've got Jupiter retrograde, Temperance. We have Pluto retrograde, transformation. And we have Mercury retrograde, getting ready to come out in a few days, being in the shadow period, which is in your 10th house of career and how you're seeing your place in the world, you know, success. You know, how you orient yourself to, you know, the lessons that you learn in life and your duties and responsibilities that you have. So you could be feeling, you know, a surge of energy to apply yourself, you know, in such a way that is going to, you know, advance you in your career. It's kind of like a realignment with your sense of purpose, a re-understanding, right? It's also being mentored by yourself, your experience, your faith, your beliefs. Those are changing. The course of your life is changing. There's a little bit of conflict because of this course that might be changing in your life. You know, you're seeking advice from people that you are close to, that are mentors perhaps. These could be people that aren't in your necessary family or the close friends that you have nearby. These could be people from far away, so you could be confiding in energy that is outside of your immediate circle. It's 14, so it's almost like 2 sevens. It's like victory and victory. Yes, feeling victorious, but then also wanting to experience other victories. Yes. I also believe that this is kind of like on the scale of me in the bigger picture. Where do I see myself in the future? Can I spot myself in the painting? You know, and what do I recognize around me in the painting? That is my life, you know? This is just sizing up your past, your present, and cooking up your future, right? We're finishing our past and our present self, and we are now embarking on a new journey of self-exploration. We're about to explore a new aspect of ourselves, adapting to changes, okay, in our state of consciousness, in our level of consciousness, you know? It's also just kind of like seeking guidance from your faith, okay? Definitely doing that. Okay, so there were some words that came up. Obviously, we're listening to classical violin solos, violin concertos, I believe it is. Anyway, the song that came up was Bittersweet Symphony, but then also Bittersweet came up, but then Chocolate came up, and then Dharma mode. Okay, so some of you are in Dharma mode. Also, Depeche Mode. Are you listening to that? Sister of Mine. What is that song? Sister of Mine. Do, 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 do. Ultra. You know that album? Ultra. So that's another word. Ultra. Anyway, I'm going to shuffle these cards again 3 more times because the Temperance card popped out. I think I'm just going to go ahead and leave it out. You could be dealing with the Sagittarius. You could be dealing with the Taurus. As you know, Libra, Sagittarius is our 3rd house of communication. And Taurus is our 8th house of transformation. And, you know, the housing system might be set up for some of you differently depending on, like, you know, where your Libra rising starts, and also the size of your other houses in your chart. Work. But yeah, that's pretty much what we're dealing with. We're dealing with communication, we're dealing with transformation, but the communication that's happening is on a spiritual level, right? Because your 3rd house is Sagittarius, and that is very highly connected to Source. Okay, so you're connecting with Source right now. You're trying to take in, you know, what is being shown to you through, you know, just kind of like the spiritual flares. Not even flares, because you're staying spiritual, because this is a constant energy here. There's a little bit of a dance that you're doing with, like, kind of, you know, like the universe, God, that type of thing. You're like, okay, show me the way, right? Show me the way through this conflict, right? Through this worry, through this point of discovery that I am having to practice some discernment in. I'm having to prevent myself from thinking the worst is going to happen. I have to prevent myself from overthinking as well, and putting aggression into, you know, all kinds of thoughts that may not even make sense and may not even really be what I am dealing with. They could be an illusion. You know, I'm just being too over analytical. I'm being too critical of the ways that I am thinking, you know. You should stop doing that. Okay, and I'm almost yet. Okay, that's it. So now I'm going to cut the cards. That 9 also has to do with your goals, you know what I mean? It's kind of like misdirection. You're putting aggression into misdirection, right? You're worried about the direction, right? Because the temperature. What is the temperature, right? Temperance is talking about strengthening something, and it's talking about galvanizing something, and it's talking about making something work. Okay, what constitutes what? Because we're talking about institutions, but we're also talking about constitutions of self. What are you proclaiming now? You know, what's the new direction that you're going in, right? And it's kind of like you've got to focus. You're thinking a lot. You're kind of a little bit distracted because you're trying to get a lot of things done, and you're a little bit worried about that. You know, just trying to get a lot done. You feel like you have your hands tied, and you feel like, you know, time has been an issue here as well, because you've been thinking for a while about something, you know, and it's almost kind of like you are in fear of what you may not be able to change. You know, you're having to face a situation, or you're having to face a process in your mind head on, and it's kind of like you've got to allow yourself, you have to stop feeling like you're not going to get there. Let's present. Ew, I cut the cards. I'm pretty sure I did. I'm gonna lay them out. Did I cut the cards? Yes. Let's go around. I thought I did. I thought I did. Okay. So at the bottom of the deck, we have the Justice card. It's there, so, you know, Spirit was like, yes, go ahead, keep doing it. And this is talking about balance and achieving balance. And this is talking about, you know, a decision that has been made that is affecting you or that is affecting other people. It could be affecting the bigger picture. Also, this just has to do with trying to balance out a situation right now. You could be dealing with a process, you know, that has to do with paperwork, or it could have something to do with, you know, contracts, bonds, anything that may have to do with the law, or just like processing something that has, you know, you have to respond to something. And maybe time is a factor here. And it's talking about initiating something as well. Initiating this process, getting it started, making a decision, doing something about it, not being in fear of what you don't know, but just kind of like facing it head on, facing the truth about something, okay? And it also has to do with like communication that could deal with like talking to somebody, or it could deal with, you know, connecting with something, entering the information or the data and processing something. This could also just be saying, you know, there's been a conclusion to something, right? There's been a powerful conclusion to something for some of you, and it could have to do with friends. It could have to do with job, earned income. It could also have to do with some sort of like shared resource. Or just like you feeling empowered by a new understanding or a new truth that you might be experiencing. You know, there's some wisdom here. Maybe you feel a little bit wiser. Maybe you feel a little bit more mature, right? And what is the truth is also going to set you free in some kind of way. And it's kind of like being true to yourself, because this is you, Libra. Okay, so let's go ahead and relationships as well. So relationships, you know, are changing, right? And you are highly active right now, because the Justice card is highly active, and Libra is a very active sign. Let's look at what's in the center of the reading. Knight of Swords. So this is talking about someone coming in, you yourself perhaps, having to respond to a situation quickly, right? You're having to react or respond to this information. You're coming from a place of maybe even feeling stuck or stubborn or stagnant with something, and now you have to move quickly, and now we have to kind of like get going with something. You know, there's a lot of movement that's happening here, and there's a lot of determination and freedom, and I need you to just kind of like keep yourself together in your mind, you know, try not to let your thought process get out of control. Really try to come from a place of stability and from security, okay, and a sense of steadfastness, right? It's Gemini, so it could have something to do with siblings, right? You could be having some sort of discussion, a heated discussion with siblings. It could be friends, it could be cousins or something like that. Or maybe you're just having to put some aggression into a process that deals with communication and making something aware, right? Okay, let's go ahead and you could be dealing with a Taurus, right? Or you could be dealing with a Gemini. You have to settle something, and it's okay, you know, just kind of like do what you have to do. There's a sense of responsibility here, and you have to be objective about the responsibility that you have, you know, and you also have to respect the objective. Have strength, have courage, be motivated. You know, it's kind of like the Strength card is wonderful. You got the Strength card and the Justice card. These two cards together is really wonderful. Sextile energy, you know. And then you got the Temperance card, which is a 5, and that's the 5th house of Leo. Okay, so we're dealing with the self, we're dealing with the community, we're dealing with the self, we're dealing with friends, we're dealing with the self, and we're just kind of like dealing with, or we're entertaining the thought of just kind of like going with the flow of life, you know, not fighting things that are going to have to keep moving and keep going and keep fluctuating and keep opening and closing, you know, doors open and doors close. You know, don't fear what you have a duty to do, and don't fear the things that you know that you have to do. You know, don't fear those things. You know. Also, the Strength card is saying, you know, sorry, I say you know a lot. Also, the Strength card is saying to be a gentle warrior, right? Show yourself the deep love that you need to show yourself by doing the things that you fear the most. Isn't that interesting? And also, you know, there's highs and lows, there's ups and downs. Try not to use too much force with the situation or with any sort of thing that you're being a part of or participating in, right? You know, use your common sense and use your mind to just kind of like direct yourself in a very efficient way. This also talks about efficiency. When you're, you know, not letting your impulse take over, or not letting yourself get too forceful with things. You know, you can maintain a sense of control in a situation, because Leo's motto is I can create control, right? Pluto is actually exalted in Leo. This is the Strength card and it's an 8. Pluto rules the 8th house. So there's a transformation that's happening here, but you have to be patient with yourself. You know? You have to be patient with your impulses as well. You have to be patient with your fears, with your impulse to fear, right? Because Saturn is actually exalted in Libra, and Saturn is a planet that strikes fear, and it makes you feel intimidated, and it makes you feel like, you know, am I going to be able to handle this? Am I going to be able to face this? Am I going to be able to get through this? And it's the worry that could cause you to want to kind of fight for survival, you know, because the Strength card is talking about survival, fighting for survival, but it's a constant fight and a constant struggle for survival. And if you're always in the struggle mode, then you're going to get tired, you're going to get exhausted, you're going to drive yourself crazy. Don't exhaust yourself. Don't drive yourself crazy. Don't tire yourself out. Pace yourself. Do things that need to be done. Take accountability. Take responsibility. I know that some situations are scary and there's some uncertainty, but, you know, you're going to have to move forward anyway. You have a responsibility to live your life no matter what. We know that. That's why Libra is kind of fierce. Go ahead and give us that credit, honey. Go ahead and give us that credit. So good. We like nice things. And that's why we experience such frustrations, because we like nice things, and we like harmony, we like beauty, we like peace, we like a constant flow of energy that is feeding and nurturing this sensibility that everything is all right and everything is beautiful, you know, and life is hard. Saturn, exalted in you. Sometimes you have to clean things, you have to wash things off, right? You have to choose to move forward. Sometimes you have to polish things when they get tarnished. So you have to get down in the dirt sometimes, you know. And that's okay. It gets dirty. But we can also get clean too. Let's look at what's going on in that past media influence. Yeah. It gets dirty, but sometimes we can get clean too. Sun and Scorpio. That dirty. We need that water. What is it? What is that song? You guys have to YouTube Nikki Fresh drip. Okay, so we're thinking drip. So Scorpio, Sun and Scorpio. If any of you have a Scorpio placement, if some of you are Libra rising or a Libra moon with your Sun and Scorpio, or if your Scorpio is in your 5th house, okay? Or if you have a little bit of Scorpio in your 1st house, right? Scorpio is ruled by Pluto. This is talking about the beauty of transformation. This is talking about the beauty of learning, right? Through the struggles in life, okay? And it's also looking at the past and seeing how you have grown. Even though you have struggles now, even though there are things now that are making you feel, you know, oppressed just by your own reality and the responsibilities that you have to kind of like be present for certain things and in certain ways. You have done that. You have done that. You have done a lot of that. But there are still some things that haven't really been worked out yet that we are still trying to figure out. And we're trying to master our energy because we are talking about balance. So it is going to be a constant struggle for Libra to master their energy because life is in constant flux. It gets harder. Okay, so in the Sun position here, we are dealing with King of Cups, mastering your emotions, mastering your shared resources, mastering your creativity, mastering mastering, you know, being able to face your fears, right? And when I say face your fears, I'm not saying like, you know, not having any more fears, but being able to explore what your fears mean. Being able to explore what your fears mean. Because just because something worries you or scares you doesn't mean it's just like that thing. There's a reason why, and it goes deeper, you know, because of the things that you fear you can't control, right? The ways about, you know, just everything that kind of makes life imperfect, right? In a sense, because life is actually perfect. Everything that it's not perfect in some ways, right? But when you think about it, the gift of life is perfect. So yeah, you know, there's a little bit of emotional complacency here, and there's a little bit of stagnation in asserting ourselves, right? Because Mars rules Scorpio and Pluto is there as well. But it's kind of like you have the power to control how you feel by learning from how you are emotionally impacted by, you know, the things that haunt you in life. Because those are the things that we're always going to be trying to deal with, trying to cope with, trying to master. And our 10th house is Cancer. And we're in that place right now. We're thinking about how we feel about our strengths and weaknesses. And we are, you know, trying to come out of a place that we have been stuck in for a while. It's almost kind of like we want to not have to think about those things. But we have to. And there is a person for some of you that has influenced you in a major way. It could be a Cancer, Pisces, or Scorpio. It could be an Aries. Okay. It could be a Libra. Right? Someone has affected you powerfully, or someone is a powerful person in your life. Okay? And they sort of encourage you and motivate you in powerful ways that they don't know. And they probably never will, with the King of Cups being here, honestly. Let's go to the moon position. Yes. So the fears and the hidden things, but also, you know, finding comfort and security and being able to face those things head on, facing the reality, you know, focusing on what you're trying to build and what you're trying to create. And if some of the things that you fear are actually blocking you from what you're trying to create in your life, then you're going to have to face those fears. You're just going to have to. Sun and Capricorn. It's the fear of the responsibility. It's the fear of financial well-being, and if it's going to be something. Can I handle? Can I tackle? Can I build? Can I save? Can I build the life that I want? Am I going to make it through the struggle? Am I going to get up that mountain? I want security. I want health, good health. I want good finances. I want, you know, to feel secure in my emotions. I want to have a secure job, a secure career, you know. And it might be that you're going to have to focus, right? It's going to be very cerebral, right? You're going to have to think on your feet, right? You might even be on the edge of your seat with something or about something. Living on the edge, right? You don't want to be living on the edge anymore, right? This talks about wanting, you know, to be able to feel secure. I want to be able to feel secure. I want to be able to see on paper conclusions that I have done some things that have brought me face to face with my own self-reliance and security. What are the structures? What am I building? What am I constructing? What am I doing to satisfy what really needs to be satisfied in my life? What needs to be attended to? I'm kind of working on it. I know you're working on it. And also the home. Home is very important. Building a home. Trying to manifest a home. The candle just went out. Trying to manifest a home. Right? Still got one back there. And some of you want to make sure that you get to stay in your home. Right? And this is also career and home. those types of things, they go hand in hand. You know, because you come home from work to get away from work, to escape from work. And you go to work to escape from home. Some people do, you know, keep you busy. And this is like you just keeping busy, keeping busy, keeping busy. Really try to do that, right? Yes, keeping busy. Because just like Capricorns are busy, and you gotta stay alert, right? You gotta stay alert and on top of things that need to be dealt with. And it's your own success too. It's for your own success. It's for your own good. Being responsible is for your own good. And being determined is for your own good. And being aspirational is for your own good. Being directional, being direct about things is for your own good. Damn, another 4, anxieties, moon and Cancer. But this is also hopes and fears, right? Hopes and wishes. So your hopes and wishes are for emotional security, but also just for like a really good foundation. But you got the 4 of Pentacles here, and you have the 4 of Cups here as well. So these are related to the King of Cups right here, right? King of Cups and the 4 of Cups related to each other because the Kings are ruled by the Emperor. And then we have the 4 of Pentacles here, right? Reaching that point of feeling secure, you know? I can rest after all of this work. You want to feel like that. And not like resting or resting on your laurels, but it's kind of like, wow, I accomplished something, and now I don't have to think or anticipate or be anxious about, you know, closing that out or completing that or doing that or it being over or whatever it is. But the 4s are kind of like a little bit of a completion, in a sense. It's kind of like, if I approach, if I assert, if I do, if I realize that I am and I can and I should and I would and I have and I will have done, I will feel a sense of satisfaction within myself. And a sense of pride, a sense of purpose, right? Be very purposeful here. All purpose. Multi-purpose. Moon in Cancer. We just had a new moon in Cancer. We're about to have a new moon in Cancer. We also just had a full moon in Capricorn. Okay, so the full moon in Capricorn did bring some things to completion for you. It stabilized some situations. It made you realize what you were really working with. You know, that energy is still playing out. 4 of Cups and the anxieties. Okay, so now we have in the Mars position, 9 of Wands, which talks about defensiveness, right? And, you know, trying to stay in line with what your foundations have sort of like, how you launched off of that foundation, you know? Once you launch, it's kind of like you're going, right? So this could kind of be like, emotionally detaching from things that are holding you back, you know? Also, it's kind of like you've just had a realization. You've just had this epiphany. You've just had this deeper level of understanding, right? You're now more informed or more knowledgeable about something. You've gathered all of these different times. Also preparedness. I want you to be prepared, okay? Do everything that you can to just be very prepared in terms of like whatever it is that you feel like you're doing or all of the things that you're doing, right? It's also staying busy, yeah? And just keep preparing things so that you can kind of like just take care of all of the things that you need to take care of. This 9 of Wands, man. And I feel like you're being critical of something. You're having to have a critical eye, or you're having to like look at all of the details, okay? In the Venus position, oh, that's good. It's nice to have the Strength card. It's nice to have the Magician. It's great to have the Justice card and the Temperance. So the Magician is talking about your awareness, your potential, what you're capable of. You know, how you assert yourself and put yourself first. Sometimes putting yourself first could feel risky. It could be scary. Going first can be scary. Doing something or starting something could be intimidating, right? Or a new situation, a new beginning, a new reality, okay? Powerful new beginnings right here with the Magician card. And it talks about your resources. What are your resources? What's the paperwork that needs to be dealt with? What are the things that need to be attended to right away? What are the priorities? Okay? And Venus is talking about prioritizing things, getting things in order. And this is Mercury. And it would be very good to prioritize so that you can have an efficiency about you. So we're thinking efficiently. And this is the Magician, Mercury being in the Venus position. And you know, Venus was retrograde in Gemini, and now she's gone direct, I believe. And this could be talking about Venus going direct. So this is a great time to kind of like go ahead and get some things started or do some things, right? And see your potential and you know, access your potential. Exercise your potential, okay? Definitely, because you're amazing. Look at you. And you're powerful. Because the Justice card is number 11. That's a 2. And that goes back to the High Priestess. That goes back to the Judgment card as well. And it's also related to relationships and choices that have to be made. Okay? Dancing, the hips, the head, right? What are you sensing now, child of Venus? You know, how are you feeling? What are you manifesting? What do you appreciate? You know, be your own hero. Be your own hero. Be your own hero. Be your own hero. Because Spirit's got your back, the universe has got your back. You know, sudden changes, of course. All right, and the Magician is talking about power. You are powerful. You have the power. As above, so below. You can manifest it. If you can visualize it, you can say it. Talk to God, talk to your higher powers. Let them know what it is that you want so that you can get it. future cards here. Let's look at them. Energy moving forward. Flexibility. A little bit of an emotional relief. You know, thinking about how you feel. Saying what you feel. Expressing yourself creatively, openly, freely. You know, and also allowing yourself to experience small pleasures. I also believe that the threes are kind of like small victories as well that lead to bigger victories. Okay? Victoria. Gloria. Who would the other one be? Maria. Victoria, Gloria, Maria. Right. I loved the name Maria when I was a little boy, like 3, 4, 5. I don't know why, but maybe it has something to do with, you know. But this is a card of not being able to control a situation. So you have to allow yourself to open up to what the situation is providing you with understanding what it needs and how it needs you to approach it. Because we're talking about how we relate to everything. Everything in your life that affects you and that you have, you know, some push or pull, or you are determining somewhat of the direction that your life goes in. You determine a lot. So you just have to determine what something means to you, how important something is. Do you want to batter or bruise that facet of your life? Do you want to neglect it? Do you want to starve it? So if there's something that wants to be nurtured and that wants to be fulfilled, that is going to, you know, bring you some emotional relief and satisfy some aspect of your life. It could be a home, it could be moving to a home, it could be, you know, just kind of like finally taking care of something that you've been dealing with for a long time that's been affecting you emotionally, has been in your mind, right? This could even be like people that you're closely connected to, right? And these are also people that are admiring you. People admire you. Look at that. They're waiting. People are waiting to receive your gift, your energy, your love, your talent. You just have to be positioned for it. And sometimes that means taking care of your own stuff first, because then you can fully be present and you can fully like come into this space ready, willing, able. You know, create beauty in your life, either on yourself, in your environment that you put yourself in. Your environment affects you a lot, you know, and you create some of what is going on in your environment, especially your headspace, right? If your physical environment is out in disarray, or something that you relate to, an aspect of your life is in disarray, then it's going to affect how balanced you feel, and it's going to affect how empowered you feel, and it's going to affect how you assert yourself. It's going to affect how you know, how you feel about yourself, you know? So do the hard work as well. Because then it's going to make you feel like, wow, I am the one. Saturn in Leo. Okay, so these are some restrictions in terms of, you know, romance. Some of you could feel that way. And also this is kind of like feeling like your creativity might be being oppressed or restrained. This is also saying that you have a responsibility to take care of, you know, yourself in many different ways. You know, there's transformations can be challenging, and transformations are definitely going to cause conflict to arise. This is also competition. Are you competing with yourself? Are you creating a scenario when you have to compete with yourself or fight against yourself? Or, you know, are you creating scenarios where you are having to learn from lessons that you yourself have caused as a consequence to mismanaged power or mismanaged self? Saturn is, you know, in its fall, or it's what am I saying? Not in its fall. It's in the planet. It's in the sign that it doesn't want to be in. First of all, Saturn being in Leo is kind of like, you know, putting your level of consciousness is being raised. We're also talking about raising your vibration as well with this Saturn in Leo. The vibration definitely needs to be raised. And sometimes hard work is required to raise the vibration. You know, to feel the weight come off, right? It's the missing piece. You can take yourself out of the struggle. You can take yourself out of the conflict. You can take yourself out of the fight. You can take yourself out of the competition. And you know, it's just an internal conflicts of the heart, challenges, right? It's kind of like how sometimes our passions can lead us astray. And sometimes the passions that we have towards other people or towards other people's causes or towards work, you know, conflict at work, or work can lead you astray. Or trying to be a part of some institution that you just aren't meant to be a part of. Trying to commit yourself to something that, you know, is only causing you distress and conflict. Leo is the 11th house for Libras, so that's talking about friends, other people's children, hopes and wishes. So also, you definitely have a responsibility when it comes to your hopes and wishes. And you also have to, you know, access your ego when it comes to trying to manifest your hopes and wishes. Okay? And that could be in just all things. Now you're realizing something. You're realizing something. It's like the light bulb went on. you know, from the conflict that was happening. Well, the light bulb went on. Now I know a little bit more. My inner ear, the consciousness. Okay. Let's look at the top card. That's a nice, reliable one. That's a good, reliable card. Knight of Pentacles. Knight of Pentacles. Someone just texted me, and that's why I stopped in the card drop. It said, nice, so glad for you. Or nice, so good for you. So that's some clear audiency or whatever. Clairsentience. So good for you. Something is going to get better. Something is going to improve. It has to do with finances or materialized things, resources. You know, somebody's going to be helpful in getting you to carry out a process with a very good discerning eye, right? Shout out to Miss Discerning Eye on Instagram. Follow her. Another tarot reader and artist, okay? The artist's name is Stephanie Hymas, and she is a Libra, and she's probably watching this. And I am going to show you the work that she made for me. Or, not for me, but, you know, a piece of her work that was sent to me. I recently got it framed. That was something. So here it is. I thought I got anti-glare. Okay. Beautiful, right? So S. Hymas, well, Stephanie Hymas. That's how the last name is spelled. So if you're looking for her on Instagram, that's what you're going to need to spell out. Yeah, so, you know, a process is going to move forward. It's going to be more pleasant than you think. Slow paced. But you're going to kind of like close things out. This is going to take some critical thinking as well. Right? Good thing we've gotten to this point of critical thinking and out of this point of critical thinking. That's great. Virgo, Leo, you can, you will take care. You will think of how everything in your life, all different facets of your life, can improve in some kind of way. Think about that. How can I improve my life? Try to improve it in like, you know, take care of the things that have to be taken care of, that are big things, that are immediate, that are right in front of you, that need to be taken care of, like, you know, sooner than later. But, you know, the things that you have a little bit more time on, don't procrastinate with those things. Just do a little bit at a time, right? When you change your diet, you'll notice that your body feels different, or you'll notice that certain things are better than they used to be. I'm trying to make sure that the whites of my eyes get white again, because I've noticed that, like, there's, like, is it broken capillaries or something like that in the eye? And I just cannot stand that. Look, the whites of my eyes need to be white. So I'm going to be drinking carrot juice and eating a lot of carrots, a lot of beta carotene I need in my life, okay? And then you'll start to see things change, and you'll start to see things change for the better, and then you'll start to see results. So, you know, the Knight of Pentacles comes in and it shows you results, and it gives you results, and we want some good results. So let's nurture, let's feed, let's cultivate, let's garden. You know, let's plant some seeds in that garden and watch them grow. Okay, you might have to dig up some of that soil, get it loosened before you plant those seeds in there, okay? You might have to analyze some things, do a little bit of data research. You might have to read some things. You might have to put, you know, enter some things, send some things, right? Nail on the head. Yeah. Let's pull some oracle cards for you because I feel like, you know, we're gonna do that, and then I might pull one more card for you, which is going to be from here. Let's do a romance angels. You know, I'm not really a love reader. I'm not like, you know, big on that type of energy just because, you know, I've had 2 major relationships and keyword being had. I do have Pluto on my first, and I have Scorpio on my first too, so there you go. Alright. That's it. And after I said that, the forgiving and learning card came up. But you gotta forgive yourself too, darling, not just other people, because it's not always something that somebody did to me that I need to forgive them for. Sometimes you have to forgive yourself, right? And sometimes we're so busy running from ourselves, we can't turn around to forgive ourselves. As you release and heal the past, you experience more love in your present moments. Wasn't I talking about the past and the present? Forgiving and learning. Definitely learning. And we have to apply what we've learned. We can't just be like, oh, I know that, right? I know that. You have to apply what you've learned, darling. And that's very Capricorn. Because what you've learned is that you have to be vigilant and resourceful, or mostly vigilant, and seeing to it that you hit that mark. You go in the direction that you were meant to go in life, and don't let anyone get in your way, and don't make it about anyone else. It just has to be about you going where you're going. Doesn't matter what people think or how critical people are being of your actions and what you do. People are going to be critical of what you do all the time, or what you don't do, you know, and your timing in life. People are going to be critical of your timing in life. Because why? There's billions of people on the planet. You want to critique me on the timing in my life. Well, there's 9 billion different scenarios on timing and counting in people's lives. Just saying. So now let's look at let's pull this one next. The Mystical Lenormand. Which I like these. These are small cards and they were hard to shuffle at first. But honey, they are flexible now. Let's see. Okay, that's 59 minutes, y'all. Dharma and Greg. Yes, honey. It's so weird because I can feel this mustache on the top of my lip now. It's weird. I've never actually like grown it out to see how long it was. I was just like shaking because there was really nothing there. It was just a scam. But now something's happening. Okay. Change is occurring. Detoxifications. power, fears, just letting something die, letting something that had control over you, doing away with the control that it had over you, putting something to rest. It could be anything. It could be a way of thinking. It could be a way of living. It could be putting your fears to rest by taking action. So let's detox our lives and put our fears to rest by taking action and making moves and asserting ourselves in the ways that we know that we should. And once we do that, we will definitely be experiencing abundance. We have to pollinate our lives. We have to pollinate our situations. We have to pollinate our opportunities. Right? Putting something to rest, facing those fears. This is a card of destiny as well. Right? And fate. Transforming, change. You're fated to change, right? And then the crosses are also talking about, God. It's the Christ principle. It's talking about compassion as well, right? Unconditional love. So you have to show yourself unconditional love. It's not just healing too. It's like taking care of the things in the material world. Also in the spiritual world, this is very much the spiritual world. Some of you might be dealing with some deaths, or some of you might be dealing with the death of some intimate relationships, or some of you might just be experiencing, wanting a constant state because it's this fixed energy to kind of like transition into another state of things. Beautiful. Right? Initiating. Bam. Here we go. Aries, the sun. That's exalted. This is making it through. This is having, being ready, being conditioned. You're conditioned for something. You're conditioned for this. You're a Libra. That sun is positive. It's the most positive card in here. Let's look at what's behind the Jupiter card. Okay, yes. A journey, movement, freedom, expansion, right? Getting somewhere with it, finding that balance, using that wind in your sails to get you somewhere. It's movement, it's the wind, it's the air, that the ideas, the concepts, it's time for you to get moving as well. Right? Let's get into motion. I love you like crazy, Libra. I dated a Libra. He was crazy. Oh my God. The look, the clothes, the taste, the quality of things. But there was a Scorpio moon there, and the Mars was in Aries, and there was an Aries rising placement, and the Mercury was in Scorpio, and the Jupiter was in Leo. It's a lot. But there were all of those other things that Libras are. So those of you out there that are cross-watching and you think that you're a Libra, or the person that is a Libra that you know is the worst, look at their moon, look at their rising, look at their 8th house, and look at their 10th house too. And look at where their planets are in those houses, because that might be the reason why you can't stand them, and not because they are a Libra. Libras are amazing. Like, comment, share, subscribe. subscribed. Follow me on Instagram. It's Providence Tarot there. My personal account is NYC Kendrick. And you know, if the video was a little long for you, then I'm sorry. But not sorry. Okay. If you'd like to get a reading from me, email providencetarotkendrick@gmail.com. And also, not today, but usually, Thursdays through Sunday, I am at Shanti Bookshop and Crystal Gallery in New York City. That address is 230 East 14th Street between 2nd and 3rd Avenues, closer to 3rd Avenue. Come there, get some crystals, get some books, get some incense, get some, you know, statues, get some, you know, tchotchke things, get some jewelry, get a crystal wrapped. Bye, Libra.